I told you it's what I use so I don't make my nose bleed.
I've started recording now. And okay, so are you about ready?
Yeah.
It is pouring down rain outside.
It is. You should move to San Antonio.
I know it. I know it. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, my name's Dr. Becky Whetstone. I'm a marriage and family therapist in Little Rock, Arkansas, and my co-host is Casey Marie Schmidt, my daughter, who lives in San Antonio, and we're the hosts of Curl Talk. And welcome, Casey. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, we've been talking a little bit about different things that I'll hear from friends or guys that I've dated. And one thing that's always puzzled me is kind of the cop out that men will use of just saying, well, I'm just an asshole. That's just how I am. And that they kind of give themselves this pass of, well, I warned you that this is the way that I'm going to behave. So you just have to accept everything after that because I gave you that warning. Almost like, well, I told you I was a murderer, so you can't be upset if I end up acting on it. And so I just wanted to
get they're trying to keep the expectations low.
Yeah, but also, then it becomes your problem because they warned you, so what do you expect? This is just how they are. They have no control over it. And so I was just curious on your take on that, whether or not that's acceptable and what would bring that about in the first place and how someone should respond to it.
Well, I just believe that in every moment and every experience you have with another person, they're showing you who they are. So it's like, why be surprised? Why be surprised when they show you who they are? My question back to you before I go into why are people like that is why would you stick around at all after someone says something like that to you?
I don't make a habit out of it, but and it's usually it's more from my past and more recently things that I'll hear acquaintances or friends or people that my friends are dating will say. And it makes me think because I've heard it before. I don't necessarily say, but I think anytime that I've stayed longer than I should have has been in a relationship where I have been kind of emotionally manipulated. Where
they misled you.
Well, that I start making excuses for them and, just kind of any like battered wife or something. Not that that's what I was, but, just like, well, I shouldn't have said this. It provoked him. And, they told me that if they do that, I should just leave them alone and give them space, but I didn't. I pressed the issue. And so, you kind of start going along with those excuses when you're in that unhealthy relationship. And it's hard to see that it's unhealthy until, hindsight.
Well, I've definitely been told that not only personally in relationships, by other people telling me that's just how I am or I can't help it as the stepsister to that. And what I want people out there to understand is I think humans tend to have a cruise control personality, like a set personality that they just operate from all the time without giving it much thought or consideration. And so I believe when someone says, this is just how I am, I can't help it, that they're just in that cruise control mode. And what they don't realize is it's dysfunctional, of course, because, and that's my pet peeve is almost everything that average people are doing out there in the world is dysfunctional and they don't even know it. And that's why we're having this show, is we're trying to raise people's awareness about what's healthy and what isn't. And so to get healthy, you have to pull yourself out of that cruise control way of operating or operating system. And you have to start being self-aware and paying attention to what you're thinking and being mindful about what you're going to say. And it's really also kind of the difference between being childish or immature in your behavior, which is you're not thinking, you're just flopping things out and acting on impulse, or being an adult who's more thoughtful and, you know, takes the time to think before they talk and controls their reactions and stuff like that. So when you get into that realm of healthy behavior, there's a lot of regulating of yourself involved. And so when I hear someone say, it's just how I am, I'm thinking, well, you're a cruise controller, you know, and you're functioning at a lower level, you know, because you're just saying this is how I am, and you're not willing to give it any thought or consideration about trying to change. Now, the other thing is if you start trying to teach someone who's in cruise control how to slow down and be more mindful and thoughtful, this takes a lot of work. And one of the shocks that I think most therapists have is about 95% of the people that come to see us, yeah, they want us to fix it. They want us to fix it. They're not willing to trouble themselves or put themselves out, you know, to any sort of major degree so that they can change their life for the better. So that's a sadness that we all have, is about 5% come in and they're on fire and they want to learn and they want to grow, and the others fall away, just slink back into their old ways.
Well, is it always the duty of, you know, the cruise controller to, will they be a healthier person if they decide they need to try to be more flexible? Or, you know, I can just as easily picture you saying, well, you shouldn't expect anyone to change. You know, they have no duty to you to change. They can be who they are, and you can accept them or leave them. So, you know,
I would totally say that. I would say that you're absolutely correct. Man,
where's
you know
the line?
well.
You know, where's the, you know, someone should be flexible.
Because you have choice. If the person's doing something that's inconsiderate or abusive, or, you know, something that's just really not acceptable, and they're telling you it's just how I am or I can't help it, the three choices come back into the picture. You can accept that and keep dating the person knowing this, or you can ask them if they're interested in growth and change, or get rid of them. Go find somebody who's more mindful and thoughtful. And the truth is that's to have a great relationship, like most people tell me they really, really want. You have to be aware of yourself. You have to be able to regulate yourself. You have to be able to edit yourself, so you can have a give and take relationship with someone else. That's the reason to do it. If you are just flopping yourself out there on impulse and, you know, just not controlling your responses and reactions, then you're limiting who is going to be willing to have a relationship with you. And that goes not just for romantic relationships, but for work and family, biological family relationships and friends, you know. And so flexibility, that word you just mentioned, also is a sign of a healthy relationship, or a healthy human being. And then to be flexible in relationships is required. But I have a whole lot of clients who are not flexible. They can't be spontaneous. They're more like control freaks. Control freaks are not flexible. Control freak is dysfunctional, and it limits a person's ability to have a healthy relationship. Because I've yet to meet a human being that enjoys being controlled by another one.
Well, where is the line between someone being flexible versus them being inauthentic? You know, because there are plenty of times that I can convince myself that I care enough about someone that I will maybe put myself through an experience. I mean, not one that will damage me, but just one that I don't want to do. Even with family, I'll do it because I know they want to do it and it would be special to them. But where's the line where that is still a good idea versus, going into a place where you're not being true to yourself because you're not telling them that that's not something that you're interested in?
Well, I think the better you get to know yourself, you get feelings in your body. The feelings in your body are so incredibly important. And most people that I meet are not aware that that is so important. To me, the feeling of dread, for example, dreading to go see the family or dreading to go see that particular friend, that is felt in your body, and therapists know that the feelings in your body are the truth with a capital of T. It's your mind that's not the truth with the capital T. Like, for instance, my mind might tell me I'm the worst person in the world, but that's not the truth with a capital T. But, my mind might tell me that. But if I am around somebody and I start getting that feeling, maybe it shows up in my chest, it could show up in my belly, it could show up in my head, or some people feel it in their extremities, but it's a feeling that it's literally like your soul is sitting here on your shoulder and it's saying, don't take me there. Don't put me around this person. It screams. And then if you keep ignoring the feelings in your body and keep forcing yourself to be around these people for whatever reasons we all have, then I would expect to see a person go into depression or anxiety or start having some really, chronic illnesses. Their body will start breaking down because that's how the body responds to your inaction and not giving it what it needs. So how you feel about that?
I can't relate to that at all.
Well,
I'm a vision of health.
well, how much of that do you feel is related to you valuing other people's comfort over your own, perhaps?
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't help.
Because what this is, this is the conversation is, and people have to understand that listening to your body's messages and advocating for yourself so you can keep yourself healthy is the most important thing that you can be doing. Ignore the messages at your peril. And,
yes,
people will say to me, like, how can you be so good at setting boundaries or not caring about what other people think? Because I don't want to feel what not doing those things feels like in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to maintain a body that's kind of relaxed and content and, I've got to manage my life in a way that brings me that.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's just easier to let those things slide because it's so ambiguous and vague what the consequences are, and they can't really directly be attributed to it. You don't know, this thing could have happened and I'm stressed out, or it was because I'm stressed out. And so I guess people chance it more often than not.
Well, when you're stressed out, I would ask you to ask yourself, where do I feel this in my body? And then you locate it. And then a good little trick is to pretend that this feeling, or actually use some adjectives to describe the feeling, like squeezing, pressure, twisting, hot, think of those adjectives. And then picture the energy of what you would imagine that looks like, and then give it a face or a mouth and let it tell you what it's trying to tell you through these adjectives. What is it trying to tell you? And many times it's trying to tell you, get me out of here. We just had a huge lightning bolt thunder thing here in Arkansas. It rains a lot here. That's why it's so pretty, though.
I know. I feel like it rains a lot. Well, it doesn't rain a lot, but it rains quite a bit once it does start raining here, and everything's still pretty dead.
Well, I apologize to the viewers that our budget for Curl Talk does not yet include soundproof booths.
You should apologize. It's unacceptable.
Yes. So does what I'm saying make sense? Because I know a lot of people just don't know this, and yet I'm sitting here knowing how important it is.
Yeah, no, I do. I think it makes sense. I'm trying to think. So is there anything that can be done, or do you just have to avoid the person who is a cruise controller and who just says, this is how I am? Is that someone you just need to kind of
Well, it depends on what they're doing. If they're doing something that you just cannot abide, that's a no-brainer. Some people are, okay, so that's how they are. But then you can also calibrate how much I'm going to let them in my life. They can be a very important person in your life that you see and talk to frequently, or you can turn them into an acquaintance, keep them at arm's length.
What would be something you would say back to a statement like that? Like, I'm just an asshole. This is just who I am.
I would say something like, I'm sad that that's how you choose to be, because that's going to hamper my ability to have a great friendship with you. And in the model that I work from, which is the Pia Melody's Facing Codependence model. I love that book. I did train with her, and she said that when our clients say things like, I can't help it, that we therapists need to correct them and say, please, if you're going to say that, at least please say, I won't help it.
Okay.
And point out to them that they're choosing it.
I'm curious. This reminds me a lot of another statement that I'll hear people say a lot, that things like, I deserve this, like they're choosing a certain lifestyle or a certain outcome, a job or a relationship or something, and they're not very happy about it. They're aware that they're not very happy about it, but they just say, well, I'm a bad person, or I've done bad things, so I deserve this. I don't deserve to have anything better. And, I'll say, like, I'll try to explain to them how boneheaded that is, but it reminds me a lot of that. I'm choosing this because of how I feel about myself, and I'm not going to change it. So what do you think are the differences between someone who says something like that?
Well, one of my pet peeves is people saying phrases like I might say, oh, I'm going to go visit my daughter in San Antonio for a week. And the person will respond, well, Becky, you work so hard, you deserve it. As if in our culture, you have to have bloody knuckles to have something good happen in your life, or to take time off. You have to earn it through slaving and toil, which is just wrong. I mean, we should be having good experiences all the time. It doesn't matter. But if someone says, I'm in this bad situation because I deserve it, is that what you're saying? Like a scenario like that? Like, I'm around, my life is this way because I deserve it. I mean, that's a person who has a terrible relationship with themselves. So right now, if you're thinking about being a friend with them or a love, I can tell you right now that you're going to be in a disabled relationship, because you cannot have a healthy relationship with someone who does not have a solid, good relationship with themselves. And there's no doubt, people have a ranking system. Like, let's say and I'm just going to make this up randomly. Let's just say, Will Smith or Brad Pitt or someone like that. That's the top rung kind of male you could attract. And on the women, I don't know who it would be. who do you think a top rung catch would be for a woman?
Jennifer Aniston.
Okay, Jennifer Aniston over here. Well, most of us that are out in Normalville, we know we can't attract a mate like that or hang out with people like that. Okay. And so then at the bottom of the list, I always like to think of the Wicked Witch of the West to be the worst woman, you know, that to hang out with. And on the guys, maybe Charles Manson or a serial killer or something like that. And then you have every rung in between those two. And most people rank themselves somewhere along that list of where they fit. And then that's the kind of people they hang out with, or the kind of mates that they want to bring into their life. So even if you are if you see yourself as a lower rung person and a higher rung person desires you and comes after you, there's a really good chance that you're not going to be able to do it, that you won't do it, because it's going to feel so uncomfortable to you. You're going to, that being with that person is going to make you feel your lack of worth. So most of us kind of hang out in the area of people where we feel we belong. And most of us, here's the kicker, most of us underestimate the level where we are. Most of us rank ourselves much lower than where we belong. I have clients all the time that I tell them you're a 5% or top 5%. Like they've got every gift. And yet they date people down here, you know? And so part of the job of the therapist is getting people to see themselves more realistically as a person that's got many wonderful qualities to offer. So you're talking about, there was a book written in the 1960s called I'm Okay, You're Okay. And it was one of the first self-help books ever written. And I'm Okay, You're Okay, the title described the ideal way to be as a human being, which is I'm okay. I like myself.
Pretentious person wrote that book.
See, but I believe that is the healthiest stance. And that's what I'm fighting for my clients all the time, is for them to say, I'm okay. I'm comfortable with myself. I like myself. That doesn't mean I don't think there's room for growth or improvement, but I accept myself and I'm comfortable with myself. I'm okay. And then you're okay is how I feel about people. I like people too. So I'm okay and you're okay. That's the healthiest stance a human being can have. And you were just describing a person who's I'm not okay person. And those are the most difficult people to have friendships with and to have any kind of relationship with. So, and I would hope that people that are watching this video will dedicate themselves to not, if they're single or they're looking for new friends or whatever, don't fish in the I'm not okay pond. That is trouble a brewing. Person with low self-esteem, those are the people that assume you're going to leave them because they're not good. They're not good enough. They assume you're looking at that person over there because they don't feel they're good enough to be with you. So it affects the relationship on so many levels. So you need somebody that's got kind of comparable self-worth to you.
Okay.
So do I dare ask you where you think you rank between Jennifer Aniston and the Wicked Witch of the West?
I don't know. I mean, I go back and forth, I think, I think I have a healthy dose of low self-esteem, but I also think that I see my worth and I see, individual pockets of good things. And so I don't know, it's hard to tell. I don't really have a clear rung on the ladder.
Well,
I know yours is up there.
I'm fine with myself.
You're
One of my mantras I say to myself is I'm weird, I'm quirky, and I'm okay with myself. Like I understand that I'm not a perfect human being, but I also understand that that is not achievable. And somebody in my family was at the dinner table one time and said something like, so and so is so weird. And I thought about it for a second and then I said, well, you're weird. And then I went, wait a minute, I'm weird. And then I looked at every person at the table and I said, there's not a person at this table who's not weird. Then it hit me, everybody's weird. A little bit, at least a little bit. We all are, and that is the nature of human beings. So why not be okay with that? Why not just accept it?
Weirdness is what makes people interesting.
Yes, that's what I think. But people want, have this idea that you've got to be this white bread, I don't know, with, no zip, just milk toast. No, absolutely not. There's no way to be. The way to be is to be yourself. Like let whatever gift your personality is, let that show that to us. Don't try to, like we talked in one of our last episodes about being a pleaser. Mm-hmm. Don't be a pleaser for my benefit, because I look at it like you're depriving me of experiencing you. Mm-hmm. And I want to experience you in your uniqueness. Mm-hmm. So it's just crucial that you come to terms with who you are and being okay with it. Can we get there? For most people, it's really difficult. But you've got to understand that your worth is not based on external things. It's just not. So to get back to the original question, a person that says, this is just how I am, or they just say, deal with it, I choose, if that characteristic that we're talking about is a no-go for me, then the relationship's going to be a no-go. They're basically drawing the line in the sand saying my dysfunctional behavior is not going to change, accept it or get rid of it. If it's something that really rubs me wrong, I'm not gonna keep that person in my life. And that's part of life, is, sorting through people, bringing the healthy ones in and getting the unhealthy ones out.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Okay, so you have anything else to say on this subject before we say goodbye today?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us on Curl Talk today. As always, we appreciate you watching, and we want to know what you would like to hear us talk about. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, or you know of someone that you would recommend that we have on the show, please let us know, because we'll be expanding the show into doing all sorts of different things in the future. And please email us. We're putting our email addresses at the bottom of the screen here. Visit our website at curltalk.net. And we look forward to you getting in touch with us. And thank you so much for watching. Casey.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Can't wait until next time.
Bye.